Okay, try question 7 and 9, press pause, and when you're done, press play. All right, let's go through it now. All right, let's go through it now. So the first thing I got here is possible answers. I'm getting very different answers. Some of you are saying question 7, the answer is A or D. Okay, so let's see. This is the answers I'm getting. I'm getting A and I'm getting D. So it's one of them is correct. And then the second one, I'm getting two answers. I'm getting the same answer actually. For the second one is B. All right, most of you are giving me the answer B. Type your answers in. What do you think? You think it's A, B, D, B, or different ones? Do you think it's a different one for question 9? All right, let's have a look at the answers for 7 and 9, right? For question 7 and 9, let's have a look at the solutions. Okay, 7 and 9. It's A and B. A and B. All right, let's go back there. Was it 7 and 9? Was it definitely 7 and 9? Let's just make sure. 7 and 9. There we go. Yeah. A and B. So A is the correct answer here. B is the correct answer here. Please double check question 9 now. I'll give you 1 minute to correct your answer. Type done if you're done, or you if you understand how to get there. 1 minute. Try. So what's the formula for the area of a triangle and what's the formula for the area of a rectangle? A triangle area is half base times height, right? So if you ever have a triangle, yeah, you're gonna have to have some kind of base and some kind of perpendicular height. So this is your height and this is your base. We take base height divided by 2. Base times height divided by 2. Or some people say half base times height. Okay? And the area for a rectangle? What's the area for a rectangle? Length times width, right? Length times width. This gives me the area. So now, for this question over here, this is my height and this is my base. This is my height and this is my base for my triangle. This is my length and this is also my width. This also can be width. It says here, in this shape, the length of the rectangular section is equal to twice the width. So this must be 5 meters because it's twice 10, right? The length is 10 meters and that's 5 meters is twice. So now we know what the base is. The base is 5 meters. So for this one here, we go 5 times 4 divided by 2. And this one here, we take 10 times by 5. And this one over here, we get 4 times 5 divided by 2 as well. That gets me several answers over here. This is 20 divided by 2, which is 10. This one is exactly the same. 10 is the area, and this one here is 50. So we then add it up, we get 70. Alrighty. Let's jump into the next paper today. We're going to have a look at a little bit of 2015 questions, and let's see what they're all about for paper E 2015. Let's scroll right till the bottom. I'm going to try one question. You're going to try one question. And let's see how it goes. All right. Have we done this question? Question 40. Anyone recall? Just type yes if you can remember this one. All right, I'm going to go through it. A pronic number is the product of two consecutive positive integers. What's an integer? An integer is like 1, 2, 3, etc. Those are all positive integers, right? Those are positive integers. A pronic number is the product of two consecutive. Now, what does the word consecutive mean? One after the other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 13, 99, 100, 101. Those are all consecutive. So a pronic number is the product of two consecutive positive integers. Okay? So let's just test this. Let's say, for example, a pronic number, it says here 110 is a pronic number as 110 is 11 times 10. So 110 is a pronic number because there are two consecutive numbers, 10 and 11, which we multiply. Those are consecutive, one after the other. And when we multiply it, we get 110. Then it says the sum of two pronic numbers is 240, right? So if I had another number here, which is also multiplied by two consecutive numbers, and I added it up, it'll add up to 240. What is the difference between these two numbers? Oh, it's a sum of two. Oh, we don't know what the other one is. So we have two random pronic numbers, not 110, that will add up to 240. What is the difference between these two numbers? So once it adds up to, so number A and then number B, once we find that, we then have to find out what is the difference between them. What is A minus B? And that's the answer we want to find. Okay. So two pronic numbers that add up to 200, the sum of two pronic numbers that add up to 240, I mean, those must be something like 10 and 11, right? 110, you could say, right? So let's say we had 110 as a pronic number. The only number we can add to this, let's assume this is A. If we assume that's A, then B has to be 130 because that will add up to 240. But is 130 a pronic number? Is it pronic? We have to check this by multiplying two numbers together. Let's develop a table of possible pronic numbers. Okay, so I'm going to put two numbers that are consecutive, then I'm going to multiply those two numbers together. Okay, two numbers that are consecutive, and then I'm going to multiply those two numbers together. So let's start with, well, 110 is a good start, so let's go with 10 and 11, right? So 10 and 11 gets you 110. So 10, 11, 110. 11, 12, 121. 12, 13, 132. Oh, what's 12 times 13? That doesn't sound right. 11 times 12 is 121. 12 times 13 is 156, right? 144 plus 12, 156. That's quite big. If I go 13 times 14, you can see the numbers are pretty big. 13 times 14 is like 13 times 10 is 130. 13 times 4 is 52, 130, so 182. Is this 182? I don't know. All right, it's huge. So let's go backwards from 10 and work our way backwards. All right, so let's go 9. 9 times 10 gets me 90. These are consecutive numbers, right? 8, 9. And I'm doing this in a test pretty fast. I'm just like brainstorming this. I can just brainstorm this. 7 and 8 gets me 6. 6 and 7 gets me 42. 5 and 6 consecutive numbers multiplied become chronic numbers. I don't know if it's actually a real thing. Chronic numbers might just be a made up word. Chronic. 20, and then 3 times 4 gets me 12. Obviously, I'm just going to go ahead and complete this whole thing because 3, 5 times 6, 4 times 5, 3 times 4, 2 times 3 is 6. Okay. And what I want the sum of the two chronic numbers must add up to 240. Is there any of those two numbers that can add up to 240? Not yet. Let's move on from 14 then. We go to 15 times 14. Now, what is 15 times 14? 15 times 14. 15 times 10 is 150. 15 times 4 is 60. And 150 is 210. There we go. So 210. Now, the number we're looking for, do you notice that it has a 0 at the end, right? So that means I must look at all the numbers that end up with zeros at the end. And I'm looking for two chronic numbers in the third column that'll add up to 240. So my chronic numbers, remember, lie in this column. Those are all my chronic numbers. Can you spot two chronic numbers that add up to 240? Using the table method, can you spot two numbers that add up to 240? Well done, Sophia. 210 and 30. Which means that is my two numbers that are consecutive. Okay. Now it says, what is the difference? The question then asks, what is the difference between these two numbers? So what is the difference between 210 and 130? What is the final answer there for the difference between the two? What's my answer there? 180, right? That'll be the difference. You can take 210 minus 30. The final answer here is going to be 130. All right, type yes if you understand, and we'll move on to the next question. What I'll do is I'll do another 3 questions up till about 9 o'clock, and then you guys are going to try a few questions after that. Okay. So type yes if you are ready to move on. Okay. Everyone ready? Yep. I'm going to clear the screen because I know some of you are writing. So just let me know if you're writing something because I'll wait for you for a second and then we can move on anyway. Okay. Go. Okay, let's have a look at question number 39 now. Question 39 It says a small square is cut out into a larger square. Okay, cut out from a larger square. So there's squares. Important terminology there. They are squares. So if these squares, then obviously all the sides are equal. And if you have to work out the perimeter, you add it up. But if you have to work out the area, you would multiply length times width. So think about those formulas. When they tell you what a square is, immediately you got to think about everything about a square. They tell you a rectangle, you think about everything about a rectangle. If they give you a trapezium, you think about everything about a trapezium. And that's your starting point whenever you go through these questions. Okay. All right. So now that you have that, the question says the side lengths of both squares in centimeters are whole numbers, less than 25. What's a whole number? A number that's not a decimal, it's not a fraction. And it's less than 25. So it can be 24 or less, right? Can't be 25. It's got to be less than 25. And we're talking about the side lengths of both the squares. Now, obviously, the smaller square is going to be smaller than the bigger square. But for example, you'd have two numbers like that. It says the remaining area of the larger square is 57. Now, that remaining area, I'm assuming, is the area around the small square, the green area. So I would say the green area is the area that you can say is 57. So if we minus the areas, it'll come to 57, and that'll give us an idea of what the dimensions are of the squares. Now, how does this work? Think about this, right? So I've got a length of, let's say, x. Now I'm going to be using symbols, right? I'm going to call this x because that's going to be my unknown. I don't know what it is. X is a variable. X is a variable. It's a number. It can be any number, but in this case, it's a square. So all the sides are x because they're all equal. And on the inside, I'm going to call this one y. All right. The sides of both squares in centimeters are whole numbers. So basically, if I have to calculate the area of the big square, right, the area of the big square, and the area of the small square, basically going to subtract them, it's going to equal 57 centimeters squared. But because these are perfect squares and the numbers are less than 25, it means that I can find the difference of the areas and it must come to 57. So how do you calculate the area of a square? It's x squared. That's your area. And what's the area of the inside square? It'll be y squared. Let's say y is 1. Then the area will be 1. Let's say x. And it says the side lengths in centimeters are whole numbers less than 25. So let's say x is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 1 is equal to 3. If this was 1 and that was 2 in length. That's way too small, right? So we've got to pick up this number a little bit more. So let's pick it up. Let's pick it up to another number. Let's make each side x and x. I don't know, 4. 4 is too small. It's got to be bigger than 57, right? Let's make it 10. I'm going to make this 10. All right. If I make that 10, then my area is going to become 100 because it's 10 squared. And let's make the smaller one so that it ends up, it must actually be 43, right, to become 57. But 43 is not a perfect square. 43, there's no number that you can multiply to get 43. So that's not possible, right? That's not possible to do. So we got to think outside the box here. What if I went 11 squared? 11 squared will give me 121. 121 minus something is 57. What number is that? What's 121 minus 121 minus 57 is 64. Now, why did I choose 100? Because I need to get to a number greater than 57. And this turns out to be 8 squared. Can you see that? So what did I use? What method did I use? Yeah, I used trial and error, right? Trial and error, where you just try different numbers and then until you get it right. And you do this pretty fast so that you can get it right faster. So what does this mean? It means that this is going to be 11. The sides are 11, right? And the inside is 8. Because when you minus those two, you get 57. The question, however, says, what is the perimeter of the small square? So the perimeter of the small square is going to be 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, 4 times. And that's 32. So 32 meters will be the perimeter of the small square. Okay. Got it. Type yes, Y, if you want to move on, or screenshot from there. When you're ready, yes. If you got any questions, please ask those questions if you have any. All right, you guys are ready. Let's go to this question now. 37 on the right hand side. We'll start by reading the question. This star has shape has 8 lines of symmetry. What does that mean? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 lines of symmetry. And is made by overlapping 2 squares. Can you see the squares, by the way? Can you spot the overlapping squares? So there's one square coming through there. And the other square coming through this way. The shape can be split into 8 identical quadrilaterals that look like this. And then it says, what is the size of the largest angle in the quadrilateral in degrees? What is the size of the largest angle in the quadrilateral in degrees? So the shape can be split into 8 identical quadrilaterals. So how does that work? Where is this 8 identical quadrilaterals? How can I see them? Can I see them anyway? So if I have to go back and just put that back in there, can you see that shape anyway? 8 identical quadrilaterals that look like that. What is the size of the largest angle in the quadrilateral in degrees? Yeah, any ideas on this one? So this shape here, they technically just created it from here. And if I want to find this angle over here, it means that maybe I've got to find the inside angle as well. And it's something to do with 8 lines of symmetry, which is made by overlapping two squares. So at some point, maybe we can end up with a quadrilateral, because if I connect those 2 points to the center, there's the quadrilateral. Can you see that? Yeah. So I gotta actually create that from there so I can see this. If I can't see that, then I can't create it. Now you can see it. So they want that angle over there on the outside, the largest angle. So if I can find the outside angle from here, then I'm done. How do I find the inside angle? What do angles inside a revolution add up to? What do angles inside a revolution add up to? What will it add up to? 360 degrees, right? So how many sides we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many angles? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that 7? It's supposed to be 8. There we go. There's 8. So I take 360 degrees and I divide it by 8. And I use short division, right? So 360. 8 can't go into 3. It can't. Goes in there 4 times. Remainder 4 goes through 5 times. It becomes 45. Right? So each of those angles in there are 45 degrees. Okay? So that's 45 degrees there. We know that angles in a quadrilateral add up to 360 degrees as well. So if I take this shape here and I add all the inside angles, I know this is 45 now. I know this is 45. So how do I find those missing angles? Because I can then find that angle. And once I've got that angle, I can find that angle because it'll add up to 360 as well. So how do I find the other missing angles? Question. If I take a dotted line over here across here, right? Run it across there. Maybe that will help. Maybe not. We do have 8 lines of symmetry as well. And if I draw a line this way, I can divide this into 2 triangles. Each triangle will add up to 180 degrees because that's angles in a triangle, right? So this will add up to 180 and this will add up to 180. So that's a possibility of maybe building on the idea. So this star has shape. Let's read it one more time. This star shape has 8 lines of symmetry and is made up by overlapping 2 squares. Why did they tell us about the 2 squares? Why are the 2 squares so important? That's a hint. So if I draw the squares back in, I mean, they will look like this. And the other square goes this way and this way. I've got an idea. Have a look at this at the bottom here. We've got each corner of a square. What is the angle of a square? What's the angle of a square?
90 degrees.
90 degrees. So if that's 90 degrees, that means that this must be 45, right? That angle there must be 45 because it's split into exactly half. That means this angle is 45 as well. So this angle is 45 and this angle is 45. Angles in a quadrilateral add up to 360 degrees. Maybe let's write that down. Angles in a triangle add up to, add to 180. Angles in a four-sided shape, any four-sided shape, adds to 360 degrees. So with that said, I've got this. Let me draw it bigger here so you can see. This looks like an arrow. So that's 45. That's 45. That's 45. So this angle is going to be the rest of the angles. So let's add it up. Okay, let's go ahead and add it up. We're going to go 45 plus 45 plus 45 plus some missing angle equals 360 because it's a four-sided shape. What will that missing side be? It'll be 360 minus 345, which is 135. What will that be? 45, 245, right? So that's 245, which means that that angle there will be 245 because it will then add up to 360. Now that we know that angle, we can find the outside angle here because those two angles add up to 360. So we take 360 and that's how it works there, right? So 360 minus 245. What's that? 360 minus 245? Will come to 115. Okay? And your angle here will be 115. Okay, I'm now going to go back to the 2018, and we've done 2018, have we not? Let's go to the last few questions and see if we've done them. Have we done these? Yeah, I think we've done that. We've done that. We've done that. So I'm going to go ahead and get the next one, which is your 2016 paper. Your 2016 question paper coming up. All right, give me 1 second. 2015. In the meantime, try question 36 and 38 while you wait for that. Hi guys, how you guys doing? Yeah, that's it. That's all you got to do there. Okay, cool. So once I minus postage from here, I get 2385 from that. That is going to be the number that I want to get 60 close to. Now I know 60 times 40 is 2400. So 60 times 39 is going to be slightly less, right? It's going to be 60 times 39 is 2400 minus 60, which is 2340. So 39 times 60 gets me 2340. Okay? That leaves me with a $45 difference between the two. That leaves me with a $45 difference between the two from there. Okay? So Mr. Chen orders some hats and pays 2685, which includes 300 postage. What is the maximum number of hats that he should receive? All right? Because he receives 10 of these. So automatically you can see there's 39 times 10, right? So there's 390 coming from there. And then the last 6 will come from the other. All right, I'll give you a second on the last one for question 38, and then I'll get back to you.